On November 19, 2021, on Philadelphia Street in Chino, California, a man in a blazer waited on the grass outside an apartment building. He held what looked like a business card in a gloved hand. An older man came up with a woman. The man in the blazer asked his name, then said he needed to talk about a homicide. Then he asked if he was sure he wanted to talk in front of her. She closed her eyes and heard shots. The man on the ground was Little Man Ortiz. He stood 5'6", which is where the name Little Man came from, and he was a made member of the Mexican Mafia, who had been brought in for a killing another man committed. The organization that gave him that standing later decided he should die. That decision was reaffirmed twice in rooms the FBI had wired with cameras, and it had been sitting there unenforced for more than a quarter of a century. In this video, we're going to find out how a man got into the Mexican Mafia on a murder he did not commit, and why the same organization put weapons in his hands 3 separate times before deciding he had to die. Before we get into this, if you're watching on your phone, hit the hype button and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. He spent most of his life in custody of one kind or another. The state took him at 11 and never really let go. Halls and camps when he was a boy, county jails and state prisons once he was not. What time he got on the outside came in short pieces. Everybody liked Little Man. He did not make money. He came to jail for stupid, ridiculous crimes, stealing cars, taking things off people. He hung around Whittier with the same friends he had always had, and that was the whole of it. He was a juvenile hall baby who had never stopped being one. That description would be unremarkable, except that the man it describes was a made member of the Mexican Mafia. The record starts when he was 11. According to a probation report, Ortiz and 2 other boys whipped someone with a belt, made him lead them back to his apartment, and took an 8-track tape deck. He was arrested and made a ward of the court, which meant that from that year forward, the state of California had a file on him that never closed. At 12, he was found sitting inside a stolen Volkswagen, inhaling solvent fumes to get high. At 13, he and another boy robbed a woman of her purse at knife point. 8 months after that, he and some friends refused to leave a jack-in-the-box and fought the officers who came to remove them. Somewhere in the middle of all that, at 13, he joined the Whittier Barrio Locos. At 19, he was convicted of manslaughter and served 4 years of a 7-year sentence. After he got out, police found him carrying a gun, and in 1986, that sent him to the Los Angeles County Men's Central Jail. There was a man in that jail named Danny Diavilla, who everyone called Kojak. He was a Mexican Mafia member out of Northeast Los Angeles, and he had fallen out of favor. Someone had already tried to kill him a few years earlier at Folsom State Prison, on the Security Housing Unit's 2 yard, with a manufactured knife. The attempt caught him in the elbow. Why Kojak went on the list in the first place is something almost nobody remembers now. The men who were told the reason are dead or old, and the reason went with them. A man was marked for death, the order held for years, and what it was for has simply gone. When Kojak was booked into the county jail, there were made members in the general population who could have handled it themselves. They did not. They sent word out to a camarada, an associate who had never been initiated. They sent it to Little Man Ortiz. That is how a man gets in. A name on a list, somebody willing, and a price of admission that would not change for the next 35 years. The weapon came out of the officer's dining room. Kojak was stabbed to death. Ortiz went down to the high-power module, where the jail kept its serious cases, and told the men who had given the order that he had taken care of it. He was 23 years old. He had not taken care of it. He had handed the knife to another inmate who used the same nickname, Tommy Moreno, out of the Echo Park gang, also called Little Man. Moreno did the stabbing. Ortiz took the credit. Daniel Grajeda, a Mexican Mafia member known as Cuate, sponsored him into the organization. The trouble is that the truth was surfacing at the same time. Moreno was charged with the killing alongside Ortiz, and the discovery in that case laid out who had done what. It left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and it happened during the same stretch in which Grajeda was vouching for him. The sentences tell that story better than anyone's memory does. Moreno pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and got 11 years. Ortiz pleaded guilty to being an accessory and got 2. The reputation that got him into the Mexican Mafia was worth 11 years in prison. His own sentence for the same killing was 2. The phrase people used for it afterward was that he got made under false pretenses. He was classified as a Mexican Mafia member in 1989 at Pelican Bay State Prison, a maximum security facility that had just been built near the Oregon border. So he did become the thing he had claimed to be. He never became it cleanly. Then his sponsor turned on him. Grajeda came to believe that Ortiz had stolen a car and some drugs from him and ordered an attack on the man he had personally vouched for. Nobody wanted to take Grajeda's phone calls. There was never a call that was only a call. It was always somebody who needed to be removed or something that needed to be brought to him. The lie did not put Ortiz on the list by itself. Twice, the organization handed him work that would have settled the matter. Once, it gave him permission to save his own life. The first came after he finished the 2 years. Grajeda contacted him with a job. It involved a car, and Ortiz was handed a firearm to do it with. He did not do it. He lost the firearm. The second came inside the county jail, on the high-power tier, with a MAID member named Rene Enriquez, a few cells away. Grajeda was campaigning against him hard by then, and the carnales on that tier took the position that a man is entitled to defend himself. So Enriquez gave him what he needed. A large manufactured knife, a bone crusher in his words, and a real handcuff key. He told Ortiz that this one was his to handle, and that nobody was going to handle it for him. Ortiz did not use it. He lost that too. He put the knife in a trash bag hanging off the bars in front of his own cell, and the deputies took it. Enriquez came back from court and asked where the knife was. Ortiz said he had lost it. Enriquez asked for his handcuff key back. The third chance came after Ortiz got out again. There was a job and he was given a firearm and a car and everything else he needed. He did not do it. After that, everyone turned their back. The consensus was that he was never going to do anything at all. And it was only then, only after the organization ran out of reasons to keep him, that his name went onto the list. By the time federal investigators started recording, the decision on Ortiz had already been made. On September 25, 1994, 5 Mexican Mafia members sat in a room and reaffirmed an earlier decision to kill him. The reason entered into the record was that Ortiz had disrespected the Mexican Mafia. The meeting was on videotape because the FBI and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department had wired the room and had an informant sitting in it. They reaffirmed it again on April 9, 1995. By then, Ortiz had been moved into protective custody, and no member could reach him. So David Gallardo, known as Smilon, proposed breaking one of the organization's own rules. Only a member was supposed to kill a member. Gallardo suggested letting an associate do it. The plan was to have somebody with a pending case in Los Angeles County Court subpoena Ortiz as a witness. That would give the county a legal reason to pull him out of protective custody and hold him in a cell, where a man from his own module could reach him. This is what happens in an organization built the way that one is. On paper, there is no president and no leader, and every member is supposed to be equal. So if you do not like somebody, you start talking. And if enough people come around, that person is gone. The plan never ran. The men who made it were arrested first. 8 of them were later found guilty of conspiring to murder Ortiz. 2 years after that motel meeting, Ortiz was back in custody on a parole violation, and he was beaten and stabbed on the exercise yard at the state prison in Chino. Authorities suspected a Mexican Mafia member had ordered it. He lived. Every time law enforcement turned up a plot against him, they offered him protection. The answer was always some version of the same thing. If they want to come after me, they can. A letter, written by a Mexican Mafia member in 1998, read into the record years afterward, calls him a man everyone knew was on the list. The list. He had signed the paperwork, the writer notes, twice. And they let him out twice. And both times he got attacked. And both times he still wanted to come back to the yard. Read that a second time and it stops being a contradiction. It is a man who takes the paper when it is put in front of him and then goes back outside anyway. What his life became was open season. Everywhere he went, he got attacked. He was put on the shine, which is the freeze out. Nobody talks to you, nobody acknowledges you exist. And he kept telling people he was a carnal, a made member, and nobody gave him that. He kept saying it anyway. Years after the organization had written him off, he was still walking around believing he had a seat in it. One obvious move was available to him the whole time, and he never made it. Men in his position turn. They debrief, they testify, they trade what they know for protection. Ortiz never did. He would not cooperate against an organization that had already condemned him, and that refusal is what earned him a strange kind of respect from the people trying to arrest him. Richard Valdemar, the sheriff's sergeant who worked the plot to kill him, put it plainly years later.
He liked the man, because the man had a lot of balls.
He would be in prison for most of the next 2 decades. While he was, federal agents and Whittier police were listening to a recently paroled Mexican Mafia member working what an agent's affidavit called territory that Ortiz had once controlled. On one call, a gang member asked whether somebody called Jimbo might be collecting taxes on Ortiz's behalf. The answer was that nobody had ever heard of him. The man who raised it said that if it turned out to be true, he would shoot Jimbo on sight. The agent wrote that because Ortiz had fallen out of graces, anyone claiming to collect for him would likely be assaulted. His name was no longer worthless. It had become dangerous to carry. In 2001, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department was working a stretch of Whittier that had been hit by car thefts. A detective parked a green 1998 Honda Accord in an alley, left the doors unlocked and the keys in the ignition, and walked away. There were cameras inside it. Ortiz got in and drove off. The cameras recorded him announcing out loud that he was stealing the car. Detectives arrested him a short time later with the keys still in his hand. Whatever the organization had decided about him, Ortiz still carried himself like a made member with authority. Stealing a car was a stunningly low-level crime for a man in that position to commit. The following year, a jury convicted him. Deputy District Attorney Shelley Barron Torrealba asked for the maximum, and in her sentencing memorandum, she called Ortiz the prime suspect in 3 unsolved murders from the 80s and 90s. One victim, she wrote, was a man who had fathered a child with Ortiz's girlfriend. Another was a Mexican Mafia figure killed in Whittier. The third was found in Turnbull Canyon. All 3 had gone nowhere because witnesses would not cooperate, and Ortiz was never charged with any of them. His attorney, Andrew Stein, called the memorandum character assassination and told the court to put up or shut up. His client, Stein said, was stupid enough to steal a car in broad daylight on videotape and somehow smart enough to have committed all these murders over the years that they cannot charge. Ortiz got 13 years, plus 6 more for having weapons in jail while he was awaiting trial. The sheriff's department had left one car in one alley to find out who in Whittier was stealing cars. It got a member of the Mexican Mafia, and the sentence ran to 19 years. He came out in 2019. Word reached law enforcement that Ortiz was trying to operate in Chino. That was a rumor, not a charge, and it was never tested anywhere. That October, he and 2 other men were arrested in Chino and accused of robbing a man of a pistol. He pleaded guilty to grand theft and got a year and 4 months in county jail. 6 months after that release, he was arrested again for being drunk in public, and the report listed his address as a second-floor apartment in the 5100 block of Philadelphia Street. He had gotten to that address through somebody he met in the 4th grade. He had gone to prison. She had gone on with her life. Over the years, she heard the rumors about the Mexican Mafia. When he got out for the last time, 50 years after they first met, she asked him whether all of that was behind him. He said it was, and she wanted to believe him. She did not let his friends from Whittier come to the apartment. On the afternoon of November 19th, 2021, a little after 4 o'clock, the 2 of them were walking back from the store. What happened next took under a minute. The man on the grass, the card in the gloved hand, the question about a homicide. the question about whether he wanted to talk in front of her. Her testimony was that she saw the gun, closed her eyes, and put her fingers in her ears. She stood there like that, waiting to be shot next. It felt like a long time. When she opened her eyes, she saw him walking away. Ortiz was in the gutter with a wound to the head. Investigators recovered 2 9mm casings near his body. Police were called to the block at 4:31. There was an elementary school across the street. They locked it down and set a perimeter, and the man walked out through it. Ortiz was the 3rd person killed in Chino that year. Surveillance video gave detectives a white Infiniti sedan. To find out who had been driving it, they used a geofence warrant, an order that requires a technology company to hand over a list of every phone switched on in a given area during a given window. Only 3 phone accounts had been at several of the places the Infiniti turned up. All 3 belonged to the same man, Cesar Palomino. The phone's day looked like this. At 2:30, it was in Hesperia, where his family lived. It moved down the 15 and the 60 freeways and came off at Central Avenue in Chino at 4:06. 20 minutes later, it was on a street behind the apartment complex. Then it stopped transmitting for about 20 minutes. By 7 that evening, it was back in Hesperia. The 2 casings went out for testing and came back carrying Palomino's DNA. Before the killing, someone using his accounts had searched for Donald Ortiz, for Mexican Mafia Little Man, and for email dropouts. The day after the killing, the search was for Chino local news. He was arrested in Las Vegas in April of 2022. In his home, detectives found a black blazer and a pair of black dress boots. Extradited to San Bernardino County, Palomino made a call from the jail to a relative, and the call was recorded. "They told me if you eat a butterfly, you become a butterfly. The butterfly is a mariposa, and its wings make the shape of an M. It is one of the names the organization goes by." The reading investigators gave it was that Palomino had been told killing a member would make him one. There was a second call, from an inmate housed in the same module. He asked his wife whether she knew that dropout little man. Then he told her the man he was in there with, the primo of Manuel Quintero, a man the detective described as an active Mexican Mafia member known as Snuffy, had gotten him. Primo means cousin. It can also mean nothing more than a close associate. Nobody in that courtroom settled which one it was. Detectives found one more link. In text messages from March of 2022, Palomino asked a woman to help him register a car he said was a gift from Quintero. The price of admission had not changed. 35 years earlier, in a county jail module, Ortiz had used it to get in. This time, he was it. At the preliminary hearing, the prosecutor asked the woman who had been standing beside Ortiz whether she recognized his killer in the room. Palomino sat about 20 feet away in an orange jumpsuit and shackles. She said she did not believe so. His defense attorney used that answer to argue the murder charge should be thrown out. The judge let the case go forward anyway. Then the prosecution called Palomino's father. Aquiles Palomino was 77 and had lost most of his sight to diabetes. Asked whether he could see his son in the courtroom, he pointed and said, "Of course, there he is." Asked what color his son's jumpsuit was, he was not sure. "Is it pink? Is it red?" His son muttered that his father was blind. Then the prosecutor showed him a still frame pulled from the surveillance video, and the old man identified the figure in the blazer as his son. 11 years earlier, he had written to a judge asking for mercy at his son's sentencing in an immigration case. His son was a good young man, he wrote, but destiny had taken him down the wrong path, and the family had tried everything and had not managed to fix it. The man prosecutors say killed Ortiz to become somebody was identified in a surveillance photograph by his own father. Ortiz got his standing through a killing. Prosecutors say Palomino went looking for his the same way. Both of them found something else. The comfortable version of this story ends with the system catching the man who did it. In January of 2023, a judge ruled there was enough evidence to hold Palomino to answer on all charges. Since then, there has been no public verdict. He remains an accused man, not a convicted one. 8 men were convicted of conspiring to kill Ortiz. That was one racketeering act among many in a much larger federal case, and the long sentences they received covered all of it. Of everything on that list, the killing of Ortiz was the part they never managed to finish. Enriquez, who handed him the knife in that jail, called him a friend and was blunt about him afterward. Ortiz was not cut out for this line of work. He had a chance to leave, and a couple of towns would have been far enough. He kept going back to the neighborhood. What put him in that gutter was not one large decision. It was staying in the same place, with the same people, for too long. If this story made you stop and think, hit the like button. That is how YouTube decides to show this to more young people who might be hearing the wrong voices right now. Drop your city in the comments. Every comment tells the algorithm this story matters.
And if you are watching on your phone, hit the hype button below the video. Hype only works on mobile, and it is the fastest way to get this in front of someone who needs to hear it before they make a decision they cannot take back.